Hi everyone, a couple of weeks ago I did post my most recent production with the EVA one, and in this kind of backstage video slash tutorial I will share with you my entire process, from the light setup of course, the equipment I used, my EVA one rig for that shoot, and some words about the mood and feeling I wanted to get as a final result. So as usual, before stepping into all this right now, let's get another look to my director's cut edit. I'll see you in 2 minutes. So here we are. Let's start with some basic stuff. The camera setup I did use. If you are following this channel, you know that I'm shooting handheld most of the time. I am coming from a photographic background, most of all fashion and advertising, and I'm really used to stay really close to my model. I also am really directive with them, and for doing so I'm really used to use my hands to show them the position I want or to place them right away. But in this specific case, I made the choice to get those Canon Ciné lenses kit, the entire Ciné lens family. Those lenses are extremely heavy. So as usual, I was looking for the right angle and my frame every time with the camera handheld. Then my assistant was bringing the tripod right under the camera. I have also been using the new 8-scene top plate and that brand new accessory also from 8-scene to attach the screen right on top of the camera. That was really cool. I have an excellent articulated arm. This one is from Bright Tangerine that I use most of the time to attach the Atomos. But I have to say that this new piece of equipment is really making a difference. With an arm, at a certain point you touch the screen and you have to adjust it back again. So the top plate with this piece of equipment makes the perfect match for the Atomos on the top of the EVA. A quick word about the Atomos. I did use the Ninja Inferno. I will explain about it a little bit later. Of course, I could have used the Shogun and get the Apple ProRes RAW, but I choose not to. I wanted to keep my files and workflow as light as possible. I will get back on this a little bit later. I wanted to shoot this with Ciné lenses, and I'm very glad I did. The fantastic 5.7K sensor together with those crazy lenses, that gave me amazing sharpness and image quality. I did shot everything wide open, all the way. I wanted to keep the depth of field as narrow as possible. I did talk about that in a previous video already. What I love into super sharp image with a narrow depth of field is actually when it's blurred. What I mean by that is that what I'm looking for is the moment when this ultra sharpness comes out of the blurred image. This is the reason why I love to shoot handheld. Most of the time, I set my frame, I keep the distance with the model consistent, and then I follow him or her floating around with the camera in my hand. And this is where I get those shots in and out of focus. From my own opinion, what makes super short shots 10 times stronger, it's when the shot is not sharp all the way, but then boom, back to sharpness again. And in terms of sharpness, it is sharp, razor sharp. Look at those shots where the water drops run over her skin. I was amazed to see that image quality. I just love it. I shoot everything Cinema 4K at 50 FPS. I knew I would edit an HD version for that final project. So of course, it is cool to be able to zoom into the image if needed. I usually don't do that, but as those images are for making some Instagram and online video bumpers, no problem. HD would be perfect. Now let's talk about my light setup. I wanted a really soft light, but still a contrasted scene at the end. So I decided to use strong light sources, but never straight to my subject. We did use white boards of different sizes. I wanted to work with soft reflected light only. As light sources, I did use the Dedolight LED light. In this case, I did use 3 D9 Dedolight from Dedo, obviously, the one with the big lens in front of it, and the yellow ring to zoom in, zoom out your beam. So those are the big ones with a nice big lens in front of it. They are bicolors, and they also have individual electronic ballast, so I can control the power and the color temperature. Then I also had 3 of those, the D4. Those are exactly the same, just smaller and lighter, obviously. Same thing with the lens in front of it, and the yellow ring. As I said, the entire work there was to play with those Dedolight in reflection on the whiteboards. And in some case, we also did use the LED light from the gym itself, just to make some effects on the walls or stuff like that. I'm pretty happy with the result. And for some shots, we also had those huge windows with the white transparent curtains. In that case, like when she was on the treadmill, the window turns into our main light. And I balance it, if needed again, with some Dedolight and the whiteboards. In this specific scene here, the window was really big, a window wall basically. And the light was perfect on her that way. But as I said earlier, I wanted a soft light but still contrasted. In that case, we did use a lot of black flags all around her in order to bring a lot of shadows and contrast on her and being able to shape the light. This is the way I did to get those kind of shots I really like. So back about the Atomos recording. I could have used the brand new fantastic Apple ProRes RAW, but again, I knew I would have an entire shooting day and that I would need to be really quick in post-production for that project and that I would do the editing myself, as most of the time. And the editing, to me, really is part of the entire creative process. So I wanted to keep the files light. And I knew that out of the 5.7K sensor from the EVA, together with those Ciné lenses, that the image quality would be there no matter what. And here I want to address to the beginners that are watching this video. To be honest with you, I give 10 times, 100 times more attention to my light setup and how I will shape the light around my model than I do care about compression and codec I use. I don't really care, in fact. With the level of quality already, with that kind of professional equipment, you're never gonna get the cheap image quality out of this kind of system anyway. So of course it is amazing to get Apple ProRes RAW through SDI, but it has to be part of an entire production process. In my case, and most of the time, I need to be quick. It is shot today, it is delivered tomorrow. No kidding, this is the way I'm working most of the time. And in this case, what you are seeing here is Cinema 4K recorded in a Ninja Inferno in Apple ProRes LT. I should be ashamed, you'll tell me. This is the lowest quality I could get out of the Atomos. But I knew for testing it many times that with the 5.7K EVA sensor, I would get an amazing image anyway. And this is the case. I could have uploaded this on YouTube and telling the people it has been shot Apple ProRes HQ, nobody would ask anything. And what I mean here is the EVA 1 is a beast, literally. I love everything about it. The image sharpness, of course, out of that huge 5.7K sensor, the low light performances, and the colors, of course. So yes, I personally have no problem to shoot LT when I need to handle the files quick. But it is good to know that there is so much more you can get out of that camera system. I cannot wait to do a proper shoot with the Apple ProRes RAW. Maybe I will never ever do without after trying it once. Who knows? And here I want to address the beginners once again. As I said, for me, when shooting with a professional camera like this one, to get the most out of it, as a result, the most important thing will be the light setup and the exposure. I am coming from a photographic background. I started 20 years ago in 1997. At that time I was assistant in Paris at the Dedolight studio. I have been the second assistant of Jean-Baptiste Mondino, the super famous French photographer and director. And I did learn everything I know there at that time, from Mondino first assistant Yamazoe. My Japanese friend teaches me all I know about light. And soon I started to shoot my own stuff. I was shooting with this medium format camera, the Mamiya RZ 6x7. Fantastic camera. Most of the time I was shooting positive film, the Kodak Ektachrome films. For those of you who are coming from the same background, you know that your best friend in this case will be your light meter. 1/10 of a stop, overexposed in the highlights of your image, and it's gone. No way to get it back. On the negative film, you may get a little bit more flexibility, but on an Ektachrome film, no way. So this is the way I'm still working now. I'm shooting on Vlog, of course, and I'm using a light meter too, when needed. And finally, I keep an eye on the waveform, but it does not mean that I will place my exposure in order to get my image flat right in the middle of it, by surexposing the scene a bit. When I want something dark and moody like this, I then keep an eye on my waveform and make sure I'm not crushing the black, that's all. And then in post, there is not much to do. I will place the black and shadows where I want, and as usual, I will bring a tint in the highlight, mid-tone and shadows. Most of the time I will put a touch of blue into the shadows and then some green in the mid-tones or highlights, but not in this case. So this is it. For the beginners again, keep in mind that your light and exposure is crucial. There is so much you'll be able to do in post-production anyway. From my point of view, the post-production process is the cherry on the cake. La cerise sur le gâteau, comme on dit en français. But try to make your best while you're shooting your scene. One last word about the music I chose for the edit you've seen. I wanted something soft and deep. I wanted to focus in the introspective aspect of the practice. Sport at a certain level, or sport in general, is of course not the body only, but the mind and spirit. And it is this aspect that I wanted to illustrate a bit. Some may like the way I did, some may not, and it's all good. As soon as you are making your work the expression of your feelings. So I guess you will see me next time for some new EVA shots, this time all the way up with the Apple ProRes RAW most probably. I hope you did find this breakdown informative. If you have any question, as always, do not hesitate. Drop me a line in the comment section, and I see you next time. Thank you so much.